The curriculum states that Year 1 students should be able to recognise and describe one half as one of two equal parts of a whole. Year 2 students should be able to recognise and interpret common uses of halves, quarters and eighths of shapes and collections. The prior knowledge needed for this activity is to recognise halves, quarters and eighths are a part of a whole and can be used to make a whole shape. Know their numeral names and quantities and interpret them into shapes. Knowledge of part-whole fractions, basic understanding of how fractions are connected and how some fractions are bigger quantities than others. The materials needed for this activity are paper and pens.
The activity I've prepared is called Complete Me. The students will work in pairs and draw a large circle on their piece of paper. The students will then choose three fractions, either being halves, quarters or eighths. I'm choosing 1/4, 1/8 and 3/8. The students will then take turns to fill in the circle without overfilling. The aim of the game is for the students to complete the circle without overfilling. The person who adds the last fraction wins. I'm going to choose 1/4 and just like so, and shade in 1/4. The next student will have a go and they may choose 3/8 and shade in 3/8. I may choose 1/4 again and shade in 1/4. As you can see, the students can clearly see that 1/8 will win the game. And shade in 1/8.
The reason I chose this activity is because it shows the connection between number, symbol and diagram of fraction. It is also a part-whole model for fractions. It is a visual representation of how different fractions can add up to a whole. An example of this would be how 1/2 plus 2/4 equals a whole. It is an activity that is a gateway to addition of fractions for students. The activity is easily changed to suit students' needs and abilities. An example of this would be to change the shape or incorporate more fractions. Common misconceptions are that students believe that if the denominator is bigger, that means it represents a larger quantity. Students also find difficulty with equivalent fractions and how fractions can be added together to make a whole. There is also difficulty for students when it comes to writing fractions, as some may write the larger number on top and the smaller number on the bottom. This would make 3/8 become 8/3. According to Rays, part-whole is one of the three meanings of fractions. The Complete Me activity shows how fractions are used with a region model. A circle is a shape where students can easily see the whole, but it can be difficult to partition, especially when dealing with thirds. Other shapes that would be recommended are rectangles and, for more confident students, triangles. Other models for part-whole fractions are length, sets and area. Some main questions to be asked after this activity would be, did the students have any trouble representing the fractions correctly? Was a particular fraction chosen more or less over the others? Did students overfill the circles? I would either continue using part-whole model exercises, or if the class is more advanced, start them on mixed fractions. There could be additional fraction lessons mixed in.